got my main man, Kendrick Perkins, on the Cedric Maxwell podcast. My boy, way back in the day. How you doing, man?
Max, what's going on? Hey, Max. Hey, man, you look like you're about 35, man. Looking all young and stuff, skinny face. Look, I can see it. What you doing over there?
And that's the Awaken diet you on, man. We doing the same thing. And what I did today, actually, before I cut all this gray off my face for a minute, just left a little goatee.
Hey, man, sometimes, that gray is nothing but wisdom, man. You know what I'm saying?
How's your family doing, man, with this whole thing and, all the stuff, this pandemic? How they doing?
Besides the kids driving me crazy, it's all good. I mean, we staying safe. Down here in Texas, it's a little different. Like, everything didn't really shut down. Schools got canceled, but they still had restaurants open, and stuff like that for takeout. But now the state is actually back up and running. So businesses are back up. And it's crazy because, people are still catching it, but what can you do about it? Like,
how big now, the thing I want to ask you, how big is that little boy that used to be you carry around your arm? I know right now you need a forklift to get him up. How big is he now? Because you had a son. How old is he now?
He's 12, Max. He's 12, man, in the 6th grade, man, getting ready to go to the 7th. And then, right before I got traded, my wife was pregnant, so now we got an 8-year-old too. That's a big ox, that be playing basketball. So, they keep me busy. Then we got twins, that's 3, that be running around the house driving us crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, congratulations. Well, tell me this then. How, all this time, I remember you talking junk to me all the time. Max, you in the media, you in the media, you in the media. How in the world did you get in the media after the way you talked about me? Because you're like, I ain't gonna do that, I ain't gonna do that. And now you're one of the main cogs in the media.
Hey, Max, well, first of all, thank you for laying the foundation, okay? One of the guys that's laying the foundation in. And the thing is, see, once you retire, you have no clue what's next. You know what I'm saying? Because I was one of those hard-headed guys that when I was playing, I never planned for after basketball. I always said, you know what, I'll see what's my options, maybe just jump into coaching and stuff like that. So what ended up happening was that, I wanted to be, one of my goals when I was playing, my main goal for after basketball was that I wanted to be the next big man that played in the NBA to be a head coach in the NBA. Because I feel like the bigs, like the big man, we get disrespected as far as our game of knowledge. Like, you don't have to be a point guard or a guard to know the game or to be able to coach a team. So we don't see that many guys that's, the last one was Kevin McHale. Like, we don't see too many power forwards or centers that are head coaches. So I end up, going on a couple TV networks to get my voice heard and speak my basketball knowledge to other teams around the NBA so I could try to put myself in position to, get on somebody's coaching staff. And then all of a sudden, I started liking the media stuff and they started liking me back. They was liking me back. So I was like, hold on, this is pretty simple. I watch basketball anyway.
Yeah.
So, that's what I do anyway. So being able to watch it and then go talk about it on TV the next morning, I'm like, hold on, it's right up my alley. And then I'm like, I ain't got to be away from the family too much. Oh, man, this is lovely. This is right what I need.
One of the things I saw that I've noticed with you is that you brought your personality into it. Everybody thought you were this mean guy like Robert Parrish and, you didn't smile. And then they see on TV now, they see this big smile, they see that your humor. It's just like you brought a whole nother side that people really didn't know about you.
See, but you knew about me though, Max. Yeah. We done been around each other for what? When I was 8.5 years, like since day one, man, you embraced me. And so you knew the perk outside of basketball. You knew that I was a cool, laid back, just want to have fun, great-hearted dude. And I think, I think that's why the media and the TV stuff been going so well for me, because I'm just being me. And I think it's just surprising people of, people who didn't know me, like now they get to hear not only me talk about basketball, but see my personality. So I'm not trying to change and go up here and talk, you know, and go look in encyclopedias and look for words to use. Like, no, I'm just being this old country boy from Beaumont, Texas. And that's how I go on there with the country slang, you know, talking and it's working out.
One of the things I remember, and I got to let the story out, it was a Perkins story. This is when you got traded. And I remember, you know, nobody, you know, all your teammates didn't want to see you get traded. You didn't want to get traded. And I remember we were in Denver, of all places, and the trade came down. And I remember Kevin Garnett telling me this story, which was amazing to me. He got on the plane, he got on the bus as we were going to go to the arena, and you had been traded. He said, man, he said, I'm torn up, man, because Perk, he said, when Perk got traded, he came in my room, knocked on my door, came in my room, and fell right in my arms, man, and started crying. Can you confirm that story? Because it was just amazing to me.
I mean, one thing about KG, Max, that we know, he ain't gonna tell no lies and keep it 100. And you know, man, that people don't understand that in Butu group, that Celtic group, we was a real family. Like, we enjoyed one another on and off the court. So, you know, coming into the NBA at 18 years old, man, that's all I knew was the Celtics. You know, and then, you know, once you win a ring and go through the wars with certain guys and you win that championship, it's that bond that build. And yeah, we may fuss and fight at times, but hell, all people do. Family members do too. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you still got that love. So when I was traded, I'm like, man, hold on, I'm leaving my brothers. Like, we got this bond. You know, I started 5, never lost a playoff series when healthy. Like, KG, my big brother, like we pride ourselves on anchoring the defense, being the best, you know, tandem ever probably to play, because, you know, we was locking stuff up, Max. We wasn't playing no games, man. And just to think, man, like, I was leaving them, man. I had to go knock on his room because I couldn't hold it in. And I know one person that could uplift my spirits and give me the courage to move on, and that was KG. But hell, he started crying too. So it was like, I was like, hold on, I'm supposed to be leaning on your shoulder, but you're leaning on my left one while I'm leaning on your right one.
that story amazed me because of just your bond with KG. I remember so many stories about you. One of the best stories I laugh about was the time you locked down Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan came into our building and you locked him down and you just put your arms up, locked him up. And then you met Tim Duncan maybe about a month later. Woo, he got you in San Antonio. He went to work, big fella. I'm telling you, all that lockup was locked down.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? I was feeling myself too, Max. I was like, yeah, I put Tim Duncan in the straitjacket. But see, one thing people don't give Tim Duncan a lot of credit for is that Tim Duncan carries this chip on his shoulder. Like, he don't talk about it, but he's a silent killer. And I'm pretty sure the way I was talking noise and flexing, that he, you know how you go circle that the next time we play on the calendar, I'm pretty sure he was like, oh, I'm going to give him that business. And I was like, when we went and matched up with him, I was like, oh my God, that was the first time I ever had to ask Doc, hey, send a double team down and help a brother out one time. Hey, KG, you take him, man. Let me get this other cat one time.
those things happen in this. You think about how you are and you talk about your brotherhood and your bond. I look at your team and you guys are family to me. You're family to me. KG's family to me. Ray is family to me. How do you get Ray back into that family with KG? Because that to me is really a travesty, considering how close those guys were, how close you were to those guys. How do you ever get that back?
And see, Max, man, to be honest, man, that hurts me to my soul, man. Just to know, you know, I think about the Rome days when we went to training camp. I got the big Mbutu picture up there. And you know how we rock, man, at Celtics, man. Like, we all tied together. Like, you know that, Max, from all the way down. You know, the love that we have for you and everybody, it's a brotherhood, man. And, you know, I don't know what went wrong when I left, but, you know, it's been a work in progress. I know Doc been trying to work on it. Paul actually been trying to be a middleman in it. And I'm doing my part too also, you know, just like, hey, man, come on, man. We done been to war together. We done ate at each other's houses. We done spent holidays together. Like, come on, man, whatever this is, it's misdemeanor. We could wash this under the rug. So, you know, I think, man, time will heal wounds. But, you know, I think, man, if Ray was to surprise KG at the Hall of Fame, man, and show up, I think, man, that probably would just make KG day. And I think right there, it would just like click, like instantly click. And I've heard on your podcast that Ray said that, hey, man, you know, KG and I need to have a conversation. But sometimes it's not about a conversation. Sometimes it's just about seeing your brother, like being in that company, you know, because you could talk a lot of noise over the phone and behind closed doors. But when you see that person and you actually be able to see them face to face and touch that person, that vibe, it instantly becomes different. And I think that's what would probably be a great solution in my opinion.
I think that would work. I think, and I look at you and stepping even further. After your trade, you leave Kevin Garnett, you leave Paul, you leave Ray, and then you go to the other big man over there who seems to be right now, everybody keeps talking about how he's played and what he's done, and Westbrook and, you know, Durant. What was it about those guys that you loved, and what was different between those guys and the Celtics?
Well, what the difference was that I was a young buck. So I was on a team full of vets, and I'm a young guy. Max, I'm 26 years old. All of a sudden, I get traded, and I instantly become the vet and the leader of the locker room of some young studs. And I knew they were good, but I didn't know they were that good until I got there and actually started playing with them and watching them work. I was like, hold on, man. Like, nah, these three guys, when you talk about Russ, Durant, and Harden, I was like, man, the sky's the limit for these cats. And when I first got there, Scott Brooks called me into his office, and he was like, Perk, you know, we are so excited to have you, but I'm here to tell you, we called, because this is at the time when the Thunder practice facility it was a skating ring. They actually bought out a skating ring and made it into their practice facility before they got the new one. And he called me into his office. He said, Perk, I'm telling you now, man, we call this here Oklahoma City U. And I said, well, what you mean? He said, man, these guys practice like no other. They're gym rats. I mean, we practice off. I know you come from Doc. And I said, hold on. So y'all practice a lot? Because at the time, we wasn't practicing that much. We go in, get our work in, and we get up out of there. Max, you know, we had bets, so we wasn't practicing like that. He was like, nah, Perk, we practicing. So when I first got traded, they were on the road and coming back home off of back-to-back. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, the next day I'm going to go in the gym. Nobody going to be in there because everybody probably going to be off. I go in there, and it's a full-out practice. Wow. It's a full-out practice. And they wanted to practice. So I'm watching these guys, and they're going at it. I'm talking about going at it. Gym rats, stand after practice, working on people, double teaming them. And I remember KG sent me a text, and he said, hey, Perk, you good? How them youngins over there? And I said, man, only if you could see this, KG. Man, these guys really work hard, man. And my first year there, we ended up going to the Western Conference Finals and losing to the Dallas Mavericks, who went on to win the championship. But I knew right then, I said each one of these guys will win the MVP throughout the course of their career.
Yeah, did you actually, I mean, that is the crazy part to me when I talk about that team, because I'm like, you're talking about three guys on one team who became MVPs.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I've been around talented guys, and, you know, Bird and McHale and Parrish, but none of these guys were MVPs except Larry Bird. You had three guys who became MVPs of the NBA. That is crazy.
Yes, it's really crazy. And what people don't understand, the reason I saw that was because I was, as we started playing, I'm watching Russ. One game, he may go for 35 to 40 points. And then the next day, KD go for 50. And then James, 2 weeks down the line, he goes for 40 off the bench. And I'm like, oh, nah, I could see this. Like, this ain't gonna last long. Like, sooner or later, James is gonna want to be the man. He's gonna need his own team. Like, I seen this building up because I'm like, these guys are too talented and they're alphas. They all are alphas. Like, they're not Robins. These guys are Batmans.
But you know what? You had the same alphas in Boston, but they were older alphas.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew just, okay, I might have to sacrifice. And those three guys you talked about, they were just smelling themselves. So they never really felt like they had seen the sacrifice.
Right. And that's a great point, Max, because, see, when Paul, KG, and Ray teamed up, the only thing that was left for them to do to complete their resume was win a championship. So it was easy for them to sacrifice. But when I got with these little young dogs, these pit bulls in OKC, these guys 21, 22, and 21, they still trying to make a name for themselves. So, yeah, they wanted to win, but they also wanted to go out there and do their thing also. And I think that's what hurt us when we got to the Miami Heat in that final series that following year because, you know, I watched them when we won the Western Conference Finals and beat the Spurs. Everybody was so happy and they act like we had just accomplished the goal. So they were happy just to even be in the finals at that age. So that's the difference. And then we went against a veteran Miami Heat team where they was on a mission to win the championship. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference, man. But those guys were young, Max, but I knew it, man. And the guy that stood out to me the most, James doing his thing, we knew how great KD was at the time, but Russell Westbrook, I was so surprised by him. And he just kept getting better every single year. And quiet as kept, he was the heart and soul of that Oklahoma City team. Like, Russ gave us swagger. He gave us that swag that KG gave the Celtics. You know, like when you getting off the bus and you on the road and you getting off that bus and you walking into the arena and you can walk with that good swag because you know you got the big ticket behind you. That's how it felt with Russ. Like when we got off the bus, we knew we had this pit bull at the point guard spot who was gonna set the tone from the jump.
One thing I love about you was, and I don't think people really recognize was, and I talked to KG about it, KG said that you were really the policeman for that team. Very few guys could handle Rondo. You were that one guy to say, Rondo, you're wrong. You're wrong. Or Paul, you're wrong. And people would listen to you. And that's the one thing I thought that the Celtics missed when you left was that guy who was that glue in the locker room. That to me was the one thing that I saw Danny that I didn't think that he saw when you left this team.
See, and see, Max, I got to credit Doc Rivers for that because Doc Rivers, when I was 21 years old, called me into his office and said, Perk, you could go out here and try to be a star. You may make one, maybe two all-star games in your career, or you could go out here and become a winner and be a star in your role and have a long career and make a lot of money. You choose the one you want to do. And I chose to be a star in my role. And so I lived it, Max. So I think that's what guys appreciated about me. And I was able to talk to guys. So I was able to address certain guys in the locker room and people was respecting my opinion because I lived by it. They knew when I got on the court, I played a gender-free basketball. So they knew, like at times, it was times Rondo would come snatch rebounds from me. I didn't care. It was times that KG would grab rebounds that I knew I could have had, but I didn't care.
All right, Perk,
like
I got one more question.
Hey, y'all go be all-stars. I'm cool. I'm
right
out my man.
One more
get
question.
the board. I'm doing my
I've
role.
been asking
And
everybody.
they seen that I lost myself in the team. So when I was able to confront them on certain things, they was able to be like, nah, Perk, right.
You were building the Mount Rushmore in the back of your house. I remember you telling me. Who would be those four guys? And you have to. You can't be wrong. KG, you can take all basketball. You said to me, you said whatever you want to take. I thought I was getting to practice early.
You know what? I'm gonna just stick to hoops.
2 hours before practice, and I looked around.
I'm gonna
KG had already been there for two or 3 hours earlier and taken a shower. He said, man, KG gets you and everybody in that range where we got to play together.
Really too many players that can match up. And I mean, he set Kareem got to go on there first. Like, just think about it, right? I mean, you know, he came to the team and joined the Celtics when he got traded, man. And there's no disrespect to all the other greats before they both Hall of Fame. It was like the circus, but we could arguably say that KG really was in the clowns player on that team. He brought a different flavor. He was like Disney just World, in my opinion, man. Just you know, like
keep it on the 100. We're gonna keep it on the 100.
He gotta go on there. But he sacrificed. I gotta be a homer, man. He took a back seat to Paul and Ray. I gotta put him. He said to me, he came to me. He said, Larry, Doc, and I remember, man. Well, actually, to the whole team, he said, looking at a guy, you know what you and I gonna do? We gonna run the ball 20 points. We gonna let Rondo 8 dimes basically be the general of the offense package. You know, we gonna get Ray open on these screens. He kind of was a different focus on the defensive time. Like that's something that you need me to go on the block and get a bucket. Then so I got Larry. But he put himself third on the list, and I think that set the tone for everybody else. They when it comes down to it, talking about a guy who runs the MVP, when he the big ticket, and he come here and he's ready to take a back seat. Everybody else had to fall in line. You had to fall in line. There wasn't no doubt about it. Like, I mean, how can you knock that?
The thing I love,
just think about
I always ask,
like, I gotta put him up
question. And the guy is that guy. I think that you look at it. My opinion, there's so many guys that you know you like left out. You said Kobe Bryant isn't in the stuff. He must be right at the door knocking. Huh? People just go and no disrespect to the great Kobe. What do you think? Like, because I was just like, man, he's one of the greatest offensive players. And he was one defensive player
in his career. KG is one. You look at a guy like Bird. Bird got 3. When you look at a guy like Kareem, when he got 5 or 6, right? And then you look at LeBron, he got 4. I wanted to Larry, you know, like all these guys have their resume, and then like rings. But when you go and toss up between Magic and Bird, it's not. But I gotta be a homer. I played with the Celtics. I went with the Celtics. Think about it. I gotta be a homer. I gotta have Larry. What people don't understand is we're seeing guys now that are 6'10", like Kevin Durant and Jason Tatum and guys like Anthony Davis. And even a Greek freak that are handling the ball and versatile players, but KG was that before all of them, man. Like, think about it. Like, in Minnesota at one point in the playoffs, that MF was running the point. Like, people don't understand how versatile KG was. He could get you on the post. He had the mid-range. He had handles. He had dimes. And then on the defensive end, there was nothing that he could do, nothing that he couldn't do. He could deny you. He rebounded at a high level. He blocked shots. He could sit down and go at 1 through 5. So I'm with you, Max. He's one. He got to be the most. He got to get that credit as being the best all-around player to ever put on the Celtic uniform.
Well, I mean, I am so much with you on that, and watching him and what he was able to do as a player. I get to you and I start thinking about, again, just how you first came in. You and Rondo. You guys were Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. I have never seen two guys, to me, you guys played cards together. You cheated in cards. I mean, it was always something. You and Rondo were like, you know, you were the muscle, Rondo was the brains, or you were the brains, and Rondo was the muscle. You guys had a unique concept about you as young guys coming into the league.
We did. And the crazy thing, Max, is that we got off to a rough start because I remember one day we was in Toronto and I come out to shoot to get my pregame shots up. This when Rondo first got on the team and he wouldn't get off the court. So I'm like, say, bro, like your time up. He like, who the hell are you talking to? I'm like, I'm talking to you. He like, man, whatever. And we bickering back and forth, so we didn't talk for a while. And then all of a sudden, I started to understand him, and he understood me. Like, I was like, no, this is just Rondo. I say, man, you a diva. You the only guy I ever see watch yourself walk. Like, that's how much swag he had, right? But I think what made our relationship so close and made us become great friends was that, you know, when the Big Three was formed, it was all about the Big Three. So Rondo and myself, we started just calling ourselves the other two. So we called ourselves the other two, and I think that made us click because we were the odd people out. Like if something didn't go right, either he was getting the blame or I was getting the blame. So we was like, man, we got to ride this together. He would hit me on the late night like, man, let's get in this gym. Or I'll call him like, nah, we back at it tonight. He like, again? I'm like, yeah, let's get in there. Me and you, we working. And
well, I remember that well because I remember both of you coming to me one time and saying, Max, they just overlooking us, man. I said, look, dudes, you guys are going to get your light in your own way. And you're going to be those kind of players because they wouldn't be good without you and you wouldn't be good without them. And the same thing I say about, and this is another point I've made, and I'll let you talk about it. I talk about Ray Allen. Mm-hmm. I said his jersey should be retired as a Celtic because at the end of the day, you wouldn't have won the championship without it.
Oh, that's facts. That's facts. And to touch on Ray, you know, and see that, like, listen, one thing about it, KG is my big brother, Paul is, I love Ray. But they know I got to keep it 100. They know what we used to say about Ray. Hey, we used to go back to his He Got Game, when the He Got Game called him Jesus Shuttlesworth. Hey, look, Max, you know, like them old people used to say, he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. And he's always on time, man. Ray hit big shots for us, man. Ray had big games for us. Man, Ray was in the moment, man. Ray was like I said before, without Ray, we wouldn't have had the success that we had. And you're right. Like, we got to get out of our feelings and as a whole and just honor the man and appreciate what he did for us. No matter if he did leave and go to Miami. Like, at the end of the day, we got to get over that childish nonsense, you know, and grow up. Like, we all now are retired except for Rondo. And, man, like, we live in the next chapter in our life, man, and we look back on that. And we had a great time, man. We probably could have won 2 years out of the 3 or maybe even 3-peated if we would have been healthy. But we weren't. We had a great run. We had arguably one of the best defensive teams to ever come through. We was automatic on the offensive end. We was well put together. And you're right, man. Ray jersey should be going up in the Raptors in the Boston in the Boston Garden.
Yeah, I love that and now you look at your relationship, and it's real funny. I look back on the tape and I saw you, and this is old school. I was looking at something on TV since they show all this old stuff now, and they had an all-star game that Perkins was in this all-star game, and there was another guy named LeBron James. I was like, damn, Perk and LeBron. And, you know, they talked about how you played, what you did. Tell me your relationship with LeBron James after all these times going through your years.
Well, see, what people don't understand, Max, me and Brian go back since the 7th grade.
Wow.
We over in 03, so we was either battling against each other at Disney Wild World of Sports or the Las Vegas Classic or the Peach Jam, and we battled every year when growing up. His team, the Ohio Shooting Stars, or my team, the Houston Hoops, was matching up in the championship games at every big AAU tournament. And then in our senior year, we joined the Oakland Soldiers together. We was at ABCD camp together. Me and Braun been cool, but that light switch went on and off when we had the battle against them in the playoffs with the Celtics. But it was always that respect and that friendship there. So when I left and went to Cleveland, when I left and got traded and then I signed with Cleveland, man, me and Braun just clicked like it never left. And we still great friends today, Max. He's one of the, people don't understand, man. He's one of the most down-to-earth people I've been around. He's a genius on and off the court. But I'm gonna tell you something, Max, and this is going out on the limb. Man, he's the most hardworking dude I ever played with in my life. I've never seen a guy that sacrificed so much into his craft and body like LeBron James. Like, people are surprised that he's still doing this at year 17. I'm not, because I
am.
But Max, I'm behind the scenes and I watch when we've been at steakhouses and he got his trainer with him and his trainer got the stem unit and ice bag on his knees. We're at dinner. Like, this guy still has a routine where he goes to bed at 11 o'clock at night. Like, that's how this, and he wakes up at 5 in the morning. I done watched him wake up at 5, train, get some breakfast, come to practice, practice hard, work out after practice, go shoot a 3-hour commercial, go home, get treatment, still have time for his family, and then go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. Like, when that story came out that he invests $2 million into his body, that's not a lie. That's the truth. And so now when we see him at year 17, still jumping through the roof, still running fast, averaging 26 and 10, it don't surprise me. It surprised the rest of the world, but not me, though.
One of the things I look back on is I saw your relationship, or I can't say a relationship, but you and Drake up in Toronto. That to me was funny how Drake either confronted you or you confronted Drake. You know, Drake is this great man, you know, who is a hip hop legend. And all of a sudden he says something to you and you went back to him. It's like you wanted to take him on.
Hey, Cornbread. Hey, man, you know how it is, man, from them country boys, man. You know, we was raised, man. I'm a man too. Listen, I got a wife and 4 kids, man. I can't let a grown man talk to me crazy. How I'm gonna come home and face my wife? She gonna think she can do it. You didn't say it. She gonna tell me, she gonna probably would have said you didn't say nothing back to Drake. But
what did he say to you?
So we playing in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm talking noise with one of my good friends, Serge Ibaka, who I played in OKC with. You know, Serge and I developed almost a relationship like me and KG did, but not to that level. And I'm just talking noise to Serge, telling them, hey, yeah, boy, we getting that child today. And all of a sudden, I just hear this squeaky voice in the back just talking noise to me. So I'm like, say, bro, like, who you talking to? Like, I'm talking to you. I'm like, man, this ain't what you want over here, man. On the real, tell you, man, because it's only 2 things that could happen. You could let this go, or you gonna smell my cologne today. That's the 2 options.
These are the things that people don't understand. Now, I'll go even to this year. This year has been a crazy year. The commissioner dies, the old commissioner dies. And then Kobe Bryant's death. Mm-hmm. How did that affect you? And where were you when you heard this news?
It's crazy, man, because I was on a flight coming back. I had just landed, I think, from maybe Boston during the game. And man, when I landed, man, and I was seeing the text messages and stuff, I'm like, what? Kobe Bryant died? Like, you know what? Nah, this can't be true. And then all of a sudden you start reading it and it really happened. But it make you look at life differently, man. Like, and if you notice, KD and I have a little Twitter war going on, and it made me come to the conclusion, like, man, that was misdemeanor. And let me give KD a public apology, because our beef was public. See, I'm not a guy who go throw stones and hide my hand. So I don't want the beef to be lingering on in the public and I send him a text message. No, I want my apology to be as loud as the disrespect. Now, whether he accepts it or not, that's on him. As long as I cleanse my soul. But it puts you in perspective that, man, life is too short, brother. Like, life is too short, man, to be holding on to unnecessary beef, especially with people that you care about, or loved ones, friends, ex-teammates, man. And that's why I would love for Ray and KG to get it together, man. You know what I'm saying? Just because of that.
Doc Rivers, I talked to him about this on the podcast. I talked to Tony Allen about it. Everybody seems to be on the same page. And Doc Rivers said, you know what, man? He said, if I can just get these 2 guys in the same room, he said, I wouldn't even have to talk. He said, they probably break down and cry, hug each other, and that would be it. But they just have not been in that position. And I could hear the hurt in Ray's voice, and the fact that I understood where Ray came from, because Ray got traded. Ray decided that time that he wanted to move on because you signed Jason Terry. What you had was, there was all these other things going on. And Ray just said, look, I want to go in another direction. How can you be mad at him for going that direction? And ultimately, if you look back on it, here's a guy who won the championship because of it. Arguably, hit one of the greatest shots in playoff history.
Well, Max, I don't like those old school people say, man, I got an old soul. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And I think that's what rubbed people the wrong way. Because you got to understand, at that time, they was in a heated battle with the Miami Heat. They was up 3-2. LeBron coming to go and have an awesome game, and then the Celtics lose game 7. So from my understanding, guys felt like that Ray wasn't all in and at the time, and that how he did it. They didn't get a phone call from Ray and say that he was leaving. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just, it was a surprise to him. You see what I'm saying? So like,
but you know, to stop you, you didn't get a call from also. You had another player that played with you that was a power forward at one time, and James Posey leaves. Nobody was mad with him. He left, and you guys got the news essentially the same way, right?
No, but it was different because the simple fact that we was begging Danny to sign James Posey back. Pose was in communication with us, like, but Danny didn't want to offer Pose the money, so we had to accept the fact that he was about to go get a 4-year deal for $6 million a year with the Pacers. Like, we couldn't knock that. But for Ray to turn down more money to come back to the Celtics and take less money and join a rival is what ruffled the feathers. But it wasn't just that. It was that the communication, like, bro, if you go leave, man, call Paul, Ray, and Doc and Rondo, man, take them out to dinner and tell them, man, I love y'all, but I'm deciding to go this route. And then who knows? If you go to dinner, they might convince you, like, what, Ray? Nah, you ain't going nowhere. You see what I'm saying? So that might not even happen. But for him to do it the way he did it, and you know, like I know with KG, there's no straddling the fence with him. He either all the way love you and you his dog, or you're on the other side and he just don't mess with you. It ain't no in between with him. He don't know how to do that. And loyalty is big with KG. We know this, Max. And it wasn't that Ray signed with the Heat. It was how he done it, as I think that affected the relationship.
You've been back and forth to Boston at different times. I'm gonna throw out a couple names to you. Tell me what you think. Jason Tatum.
Ooh, top 10 player in the league. Max, you know what? He's one guy that I watched throughout the course of a season. He got better every 10 games. Like, how crazy that sound? Offensively, JT got better. Every 10 games, his game just kept going up to the point where I was like, when he started matching up with superstars, like when he dropped that 40 ball on the Clippers before the All-Star break and matched up with Kawhi, I'm like, hold on, this is legit. Then all of a sudden, after the All-Star break, he goes and play against the Lakers, and they got to send a double team at him in the fourth quarter because he tearing their behinds up. And I'm watching them do it on a consistent basis. But then I go to Boston, and I'm sitting there with Paul, and we watching them play the Rockets, and I'm watching Jason, and I'm like, it's nothing that this guy is lacking in his offensive package. Like, he got step backs. He got, you know, he could get to the rack strong, but you could watch a guy and tell the work that he's putting in. Like, look at his body. His body has changed, like, over the course of the years in a great way, like, ripped up, physical, you know, and stuff like that. So it's like, man, you sitting back and you watching, you like, man, in my opinion, I'm like, man, this guy here is going to be a top 10 player. Well, he's a top 10 player in my eyes this year. The sky's going to be the limit for him. We're going to be talking about him in the MVP conversation. I know one thing. Danny Ainge better make sure he's a Celtic for life. You can't get rid of somebody like that, goddamn.
Well, you look at that now, I'm going to ask you about Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown is one of my favorite players in the league. Seriously. I think he might be the best two-way player in the league. If you talk about a guy who can give you 20 points without having to be ball dominant, and then he takes on the assignment on the defensive end. But you know the thing I love about Jaylen Brown is that you don't find too many young guys that's not afraid of embarrassment. And when I say that, when I say afraid of embarrassment, I'm talking about he's not scared to pick up the elite players full court and get up on them. He's not scared to get his ankles broke. He's not scared to get dunked on. Like, that's what makes you love him, that dog and that I'm out here to compete. I don't care about getting put on the highlight. and then he still goes out there and give you that 20 points on 50% shooting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, give me Jaylen Brown all day, every day.
All right, Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers, man. Doc Rivers, in my opinion, and I only played for a few coaches, but man, Doc Rivers, his offensive, like he's an offensive genius. When it comes to that clipboard and him putting guys in position to be successful, I don't know if there's too many coaches out there that can match up with Doc. Besides, he have the greatest pregame, postgame, halftime speeches I've ever saw. But he's been a mentor to me, Max. Like I said, in my opinion, without Doc Rivers, I don't think I have a 14-year career. He taught me to be comfortable with who I was, block out the outside noise. Perk, be okay with setting screens. Perk, be okay with anchoring the defense. Perk, be okay with being a low post defender. Do your role. Perk, be okay. And I think Doc instilled that confidence in me that I was okay. So when I left and even went to Oklahoma City, I was okay with who I was. I was okay with only averaging 5 points because I knew what I brought to the table. And it was because of Doc Rivers. He taught me how to have a routine pregame. You see what I'm saying? Like, hey, Perk, you got to do this, man. In order to be a professional, this is how you got to do it. Don't be out. Don't be doing this. Get your rest. You know, this go put you in position. And I thought Doc was one of the best things that happened to me.
Now, Danny Ainge drafted you, your mentor, the guy who eventually traded you. You've just had this almost a love-hate relationship with Danny that goes back, and it's been just kind of nice to see.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. Danny and I never had a hate relationship. I think the Boston fans kind of hated Danny for the trade. See, what people don't understand is, man, Danny took a chance on me with a first-round pick. He saw something in me. He stood by me, always kept it real with me. That's one thing I can say about Danny is that he never lied to me. He always used to say, Perk, I'm going on the road and scout to try to go find somebody that's better than you and replace you. So what people don't understand, Max, on the back end of this, the back of the story is that Danny called me in his office and he said, Perk, we want to offer you a contract extension. This is before I got traded, but we ain't got that much, but we want to offer you about 5 to 6 a year for like 4 years. And I was like, Danny, I don't know. You know, starting centers right now, making between 10 and 15. You know, man, I don't know. And this is me coming off an ACL injury. And so Danny was like, as a GM, you got to respect it because he like, well, I got to figure something out because if I don't, I could lose Perk in free agency for nothing. So in Danny's defense, Danny could have traded me anywhere. He traded me to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Think about this, Max. He traded me to a great situation, to a team that was up on the rise with great young talent. But on top of that, before I even played one game with Oklahoma City, I signed a 4-year, $40 million extension with them before I even put on a jersey. So Danny knew that he was trading me there, and he knew I was going to get paid. I never hated Danny for that. I didn't want to leave my brothers. I didn't want to leave the city of Boston because that's all I knew. But he also sent me there, and I got a big payday. And he sent me to a great organization. So it never was a hate thing for me for us with Danny. We still had communicated. Even when I was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, we still communicate to this day. And it's still love there. Like I said, he drafted me, Max. And Danny also cut me my first check. Not just a rookie deal, but he signed me to a 4-year, $16 million extension, which, you know, just through my hard work. So Danny, like, to be in the organization for 8.5 years, it wasn't no hate there. It was like, man, that's love.
Well, I had a situation, you love this, and it was with Jason Tatum, and it was after we were right during the time they were showing the whole thing on NBC and CBS and all these stations that were talking about the Celtics-Lakers rivalry. And boy, this whole thing came back to me. Everybody's, oh, Max, you can play. I just laughed about it because we heard what you said to James Worthy. Well, I'm standing on the court before right after the Celtic-Laker rivalry dropped. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, Jason Tatum comes out. He spoke to me a little bit while he got to the team. But he comes out and says, cornbread, cornbread. I said, what's wrong with you? He said, man, I saw that tape. Man, you are a badass brother, man. And I just laughed. But it made me think of you because this is my last question, which is a funny question. Is you always gave me the hardest time over there. You like, Max, I would have locked you up. I would have did this. You always gave me the hardest time. And I had nothing but love for you. Why you give me such a hard time, man?
Because, Max, let me tell you why. Because I was chasing you. I wanted to break your all-time field goal percentage. I wanted to do that. See, what a lot of people don't understand is when you're a true student of the game and you get it. See, when you get drafted and you get a chance to be a part of the Celtic history, you got to go back as a young player and do your research. So when I went back and saw the things that you were doing and how good you were, I was like, man, I'm going to mess with Max every single time. I'm like, you think you used to give them work, but I would have locked you up. But it was nothing but praise. But it's crazy that you even brought that Jason Tatum thing up. And see, that takes my love for Jason Tatum to another level because, Max, think about it. Here's a guy that's 21, 22. Man, he went back in the time and he's watching you play, man. Like, you don't have a lot of young cats doing that. Like, that's doing homework, man. That's studying. That's knowing who you around. That's knowing greats and what they've done before your time, man. And you got to appreciate that. But, Max, I used to watch film on you all the time. And I used to say, oh, Max giving out work. I see him, oh, he balled out. I couldn't wait to mess with you the next day.
Well, guys, this is my man, Perk. I've had him on my podcast. I've enjoyed it. And now the last thing we're going to do, we got to get together where we get this Ray Allen to come back, his family, man, because to me, again, all you guys are family. And the pettiness and trifleness, whatever it might be, we're older now. You guys are older. The coronavirus is around. Now you see it's all about family and love. Yeah. You guys were a great team. And that one guy should always be a part. He shouldn't be away from your team and feel like he's any different.
No, I agree, Max. And you know what we got to do? Man, we got to get with Wick and Steve, man, and tell them to load up that private and pick me, you, and Doc up. And we go pick up KG and we just pull up on Ray down there in Miami. And then like they did with DeAndre Jordan. Now we go lock you in the house, Ray, and me, you, and KG and Doc, we gonna have us a sit down, goddamn it.
Well, I think that's good, man. Again, thank you very much, Perk. I appreciate your time, brother. And good luck to you and stay safe and stay healthy.
Same to you, Max. I appreciate you as always, man. And, hey, look, I don't know what you're trying to do right now, man, but look, don't be around there trying to get ready for the summertime for you could be on the team, though. I know what you on over there.
My boy, we'll holler at you, man, later.
All right.